All right, dude. We're good.
You have something specific you kind of want to talk about?
Dude, not really, man. I always got stuff to talk about, dude.
Sure.
The one thing that hit me this week, honestly, put me in a kind of a bad, bitter mood. I got an email from the government, well, from Square saying that due to legislative changes, we've sent the IRS a 1099-K form for
Oh
your
no.
business. Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I had literally been working, my brother and I, the whole year to dodge this because whenever you're a small business, dude, like you and myself included, to have to focus on like the legal stuff of it, the taxes, it's super discouraging. Like, you don't want to have to
Yeah.
do that, you know? So we're feeling it out. If it doesn't go well for your first year you're in business, you should just honestly just I mean, it's kind of like a test run. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't pay taxes, but it almost seems like there should be some kind of like law in place to prevent, the people their first year as a small business from having to pay taxes at least up to like a certain level. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a government official. I don't make the laws like that, but anyway, it's like, dude, it's annoying, man, because there's just so much legal stuff that comes into play now, and it's super discouraging for anyone that like is trying to figure out what they want to do in business whenever they got to like pay taxes and all that crap.
So when they say like legal changes, they just was it like the amount needed? Like it wasn't 20K. It was like lower than that this year, and that's why you got 1099. Is
Yep.
that what it was?
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. It was 20K. It's federally 20K. And then
Right.
there's like 6 states that it's an exception, 5 or 6. And Missouri was not on that list before like 3 days ago. And then
Wow.
like on Square's site, they will literally say Missouri now, but that just got put up.
Hmm.
So if I had known that a year ago, I would have planned differently.
Sure.
We would have planned for this more. But since it was like not that, it was under 20K, then we were just kind of looking to avoid going over that threshold. Um,
Hmm.
which is it's weird because like technically you're still supposed to pay taxes even if you're under that. It's just they won't send the government a 1099. So did that affect you at all? You didn't get anything like that?
No, I haven't. The only way I would get that is through PayPal, and they haven't like I haven't had to deal with that. And what's actually interesting is that like for all my drop shipping stuff through eBay has been moving a lot of people over to their own like payment processing system. I forget what the name of it is, but essentially they've been partnered with PayPal for this entire time, where all their money would come through. Like anytime I get paid, it comes through somebody's PayPal account and it goes into my PayPal account, and then I transfer that to my bank, right? And eBay's been kind of going away from that. It's called managed payments. That's what it is, where they do that just strictly straight through eBay. Um, but they only let like they're kind of like trickling in people to like get access to it. Um, so I think you're less likely. So you'd be like less likely to get a 1099 if you make like a couple grand, or like say you make like 15K, and you're kind of like getting close to that mark, but that's all through PayPal, and then you switch over to manage payments like right then PayPal can't do anything about that. Um, my second store that I'm working on right now hasn't switched over to manage payments yet, but it's nowhere near 20K, so I don't have to worry about it. So, no.
What's your second store you're working on?
Well, that's like it's my main store currently, but yeah, it's just like in reference to how a lot of drop shippers like our first store all got our first stores all got clipped a couple months ago because I don't know if I can really talk about why, but it had something to do with the supplier that we were taking from.
Yeah,
So now we buy through different suppliers that go through eBay, and nothing gets clipped, and nothing gets like shut down or ghost banned or anything like that. So it's technically my second store, but it's my main store right now. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. Yeah, that's I remember you talking to me about that whole issue with your first store. And that sucks, dude, because you'd been building up that feedback on there. And that's really what
Yeah,
separates you as like a drop shipper. You know, it separates you with any business is like your feedback and the reviews that you have.
yeah.
How many reviews do you have like on the current account?
Current account probably 30 something positive feedback. Um, which is like more than like most people get to through selling.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, let me just, sell a couple things around my house. And then it's like, okay. And then you never use eBay again. So like most people have like zero or like two, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like the actual businesses on there can have anywhere from a couple hundred to a couple thousand. A lot of the Chinese and overseas stores have like hundreds of thousands of feedback, um, because they're just like these mass um, producers through eBay. But I'm just slowly building it up. That's the thing with eBay is like you have to slowly build where like your store won't even get shut down for drop shipping. It'll just get shut down for like building too fast. Like even if you're not a drop shipper and you have every single product you own and you're sending it out like you have in-hand products, you're making them or you're buying them and you're sending them out. And you're not drop shipping, like, but you do it way too fast. Like if you post 75 products your first day on eBay, like they'll suspend your account just because they value customer service. Because like eBay wants to, they're competing with Amazon,
Yeah.
so it's like they want to be just as good as them and offer a customer service, level that's on par with Amazon. So if they see that you post all these products, they don't think that you're going to be able to manage it and handle all your customers, that kind of thing. And so they'll like suspend your account and kind of tell you why. And so
How
you got to
much
build
are you
slow.
making right now? Like what have you been getting up to?
Um, well, I could say for my last store, it would be a couple $100 a month of just like passive revenue. Because like with the software that I use, it does everything I've shown you, like it kind of automates everything for me. I'll get a sale through my eBay, and then I get an email that I got a sale through my eBay account, and then like I guess software will automatically go in to the suppliers that I buy from, buy that product, and put in the um, buyer's address and information, and then it'll go straight to them. And then a couple minutes later, I get an email from my supplier that the product has been purchased, and then it gives me a delivery date and everything. So all I have to worry about is just double checking that tracking information got sent over. So like a couple days after a product gets sent, I'll get an email that says your product's been shipped, and then I just put the tracking number into eBay, and then I'm done. So on my first store, it would just be like a couple $100 of just passive income every month. And then like so now since I'm like smaller, rebuilding that, I haven't really looked at like what the profit is because it's pretty insurmountable compared to like what it used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so like how long do you think it's gonna take to get you back to the old levels?
Um, it really varies, but I would say a couple weeks or another month, really. Um, like drop shipping is like a slow build because you don't want to get your store going up too fast, but you still want to be like making money at the same time. It's all about like how you source your products too. So this can be like a little behind the scenes, but a lot of people would like a lot of drop shippers will go to other drop shipper stores on eBay and like scrape their store for winning products or like just products that are profitable, right? So a lot of us like compete with the same products because we know that people want to buy them and we know that the profit margin is there. And then you just like undercut enough where um, you like are higher up in the ranking, but you honestly don't even have to undercut price that much against other drop shippers because if your like feedback rating is high enough, then people are just going to buy your stuff like over everybody else's anyways. So it's like if somebody's selling, like potting soil for $20 and then I'm also selling it for $20 and I have more feedback than they do, then they're going to buy from me, right? But then even if like I'm selling it for $17 and they're selling it for 20, but they have like a couple hundred more feedback. Like they're probably going to buy the one that's $20 because they know it's going to be like a smooth transaction and not have to worry about anything. So feedback is really just like so crucial, and building that takes time because you never know. Like people don't have to give you positive feedback when you get a sale and everything goes smoothly. It's just like up to them. So like people can see how many sales you have, but the number next to your name, next to your username, your store name is like your actual feedback number. And so if that's low, most people just won't even buy from your store.
Yeah, I noticed that the Chinese people tend to like the big stores. They tend to leave feedback. They're like just like
Yeah,
super quick. Um,
generally it's automated.
yeah, but I've noticed like, I mean, that's something that I want to do with my detailing business as well. I want to have people, leave me feedback. I want people to leave me positive feedback on every transaction. That doesn't mean that I ask for feedback on every transaction just because I know that some people, a lot of the times, are either just too busy or like if we just didn't feel like the transaction was like real smooth, we won't even ask for the feedback. Um, but we try to do things that just go above and beyond to get that feedback because just an average transaction, the likelihood of getting a review or feedback left is low. But if you go above and beyond, calling, whether like you're writing a note, because I know that sometimes eBay sellers will like write a note in the package, and you'll get it. You'll get whatever you ordered, and then it'll be a note in there that says, "Hey, enjoy this.
Yeah.
Thanks again for buying." Like things like that, kind of help you go above and beyond with the feedback.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny because there's like a feedback method, like to jig your feedback number, which is like you go into these like 10 to like 50 cent like sticker auctions that end in like a couple hours, and then you bid on them, and then you do that for like 12, 15 different stores in a day, and you go through like stickers, keychains, just like small stuff that's like super inexpensive, and then you bid on it and then you win, but you get it from these Chinese and overseas stores that leave that automatic feedback. And then technically, so your number will technically go up, but it'll be your buyer feedback. But if nobody like investigates your store and they just look at the number, then they're just like, oh, they have a higher number, I'm going to buy from them. And it's funny because I bought some like stickers and like some like sport card like postage stamp type things that came through, and this guy left me a message um after I bought, and he's like, oh, are you looking for this and this, like these other products that I have, or like do you just want this one? It's only like X amount anymore, I appreciate the transaction and all that stuff. And it's like, no, man, I'm just buying this to like jig my feedback, but like it's cool. Like, thanks for the card.
Did you say that?
No, no.
He's like, I'm
I
reporting
just
you.
I just told him no, this is all I wanted, thanks. But it was just like funny because like it's weird because like normal people do reach out and they follow up, um, but it
Yeah.
doesn't really happen in the drop shipping world. So
How'd sneakers go on Saturday, yesterday?
it didn't go, bro. It did not go.
Didn't go? What was it? What was dropping?
No, it was the Yeezy 700 Suns.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a meme, but they dropped 1,600 pairs on Easy Supply, which is like nothing, bro. Literally nothing. Like not even worth waking up for. And then I also woke up late, so it like didn't even matter because I was thinking they were 10 a.m. Eastern, but Easy Supply is generally 9 a.m. Eastern, so it's 8 our time. And I woke up like at 8 because I'm like, oh, I got another hour till I need to like
Mm.
start. And then none of my bot discords even said when to start tasks either. It was just like, this shit isn't gonna work, bro. So it really just like wasn't worth a lot of people's time. I still set up the night before because I didn't like know, and then I found out in the morning like, oh, there's like no stock, and you woke up late. Yeah, so it just didn't go, but it's whatever.
It happens. It's part of the sneaker game, right?
Yeah, it is. It's like I don't know. You can't really like if you I don't know. There's a lot of people who get so like negative and toxic about like taking L's and but it's like how are you going to get any better if you're just mad all the time and you don't like learn.
Yeah. Dude, is your stomach all good? You got all the symptoms from
Yeah,
that shot worked out?
Dude, I feel good. Like today I've been, just like coughing through a bunch of stuff. But I can tell I'm like much, much clearer than I was. Yeah, I feel a lot better. Dude, what's crazy though? I was telling my parents this is that my workouts the past few days have been insane, dude. Um,
The vaccine, COVID vaccine, actually is got steroids in it.
yeah, it supercharged me, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know what it was. I think it's just the time off. Like the 2 days that I felt like shit, my calories were like way under what they would normally be. And so the day that I went back to training, my calories like went back to normal. Actually more than like what I would normally eat because I was just like hungry from the days previous too.
Mhm.
And so I just had like all this like fuel in me, from like I had really good rest. Like I still had kind of a sore throat, like I wasn't feeling 100%, but I didn't want to make the excuse of like I just didn't want to be off for like 4 days, because that just
Yeah.
like sucks. So I was only off for like two. And then I came back. I did. It's so funny because I missed my bench day, but then I was on my deadlift day with like my back workout, and then I was like, I got to my workout, and I was like, you know what? I could probably bench and deadlift, and then just do my like back workout after that. Like I feel that good, and that's exactly what I did. Um, I finally got my belt and knee sleeves, dude.
Mhm.
And dude, game changer, game changer for real. Like you feel so much more like secure and
Mhm.
just like tight whenever you have all that stuff, and it's kind of like a confidence boost too. um Stuff
You
looks
should
cool too.
Yeah, you should rotate them in and out though. Like that's what I've been doing with my
Mhm.
sleeves is like
Okay,
sometimes I won't use them and other times I will. Just so
is that for your knees?
yeah, because my knees like they've always been rough, but whenever I started low bar squatting, it feels a lot better.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah,
use a belt to squat, um, but I think just like rotating them in and out, like anything, just try not to stick to like one thing real consistent.
sure.
But it's all dependent upon your goals. Like if you're really just trying to like go up in the numbers as quick as possible, then it's probably something to be said for wearing them all the time. But like with
Hmm.
me, I want to make sure that like I'm not neglecting a certain muscle group of my body, and I know wearing a belt reduces like the amount of tension you're putting on your core,
Sure.
and wearing sleeves reduces the tension that you're putting on like around your knee area, which might not be
Hmm.
a bad thing, but nonetheless, if you do that too often, a lot of the times that area can become like, I think, weak. So I just want to make sure that like I'm strengthening all parts of my body, and not neglecting certain parts from wearing or supporting myself through like straps or sleeves or belts. So
Sure. Yeah, I don't know what the um empirical like literature is on that as far as like what's hurtful long term or whatever. um I don't use them like at lower weight though. You know what I mean? It's just like whenever I'm building up to something that's like heavier, then it's like, okay, I should probably use them here. But I think you're right. I mean, I just got them, so it's like
yeah,
I don't know yet, but yeah, I'll rotate them.
dude, I'll tell you what though, like being out for with COVID, like that 10 days, dude, it was rough, man. Like I'll tell you what, like my first few days, rough, dude. Like
Hmm.
pretty bad. And then I got to the point where I'm like, all right, I got to get used to this for a little bit. And this is probably a good lesson with anything in life, right? Like first few days you get into anything, a new habit, it sucks. And then you kind of get used to it and like you kind of find the enjoyment in it. And I just realized like how much time I was spending commuting, how much time you spend in the classroom. Like there's just a lot of wasted time. And there's also things that I was able to point out and identify in my life that I don't care for. It's like, why am I doing that? It's wasting my time. And I have so many things like that, like so many just little things. I I tell you, or I told you that I sometimes feel like I'm trying to do too many things at once. And it goes back to like the rabbit catcher thing that we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
The man who
yeah.
tries to catch two rabbits catches none, and I feel like I'm trying to catch five.
Hmm.
And I feel like dropping that just the number of things I have down, and that'll clear up after I'm graduated. So like I see a light at the end of the tunnel coming up here in the next few months. But it's crazy like how much whenever you focus on so many things like that, how you can never become truly great at one thing because and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I would rather have like a balanced lifestyle across health, wealth, relationships, happiness versus just being a super freak athlete and
Mhm.
having a poor quality relationships and mental game and everything else, you know? So like I like the
Yep.
balance, but nonetheless, I still feel like I was focusing on too many things. I still am, and I was really able to like identify that over this like quarantine period. So like being off and being home, I pretty much was only able to focus on like studying and
Mhm.
whatever like I was able to do on my computer. And I could do like small workouts at home that I was able to do. But I wasn't able to commute, you know, I wasn't able to
Mhm.
go to work. So there's like a lot of things that like I was forced to cut out. And I was really able to like identify certain parts that I can just get rid of, I think, and I would be okay with that. Um,
Yeah, what's interesting about this whole like quarantine situation all the way back from, like March of 2020 is like it like kind of forced everybody to like what's crazy is that like everybody sees it as like an overall negative, right? Just because of like the massive like loss that incurred for a lot of people. Um, but like Jordan Peterson talks about how it's like you'd rather have the like a lot of like little losses throughout your life where you learn from it and get better than neglecting everything into the fog, like all your responsibilities into the fog, and then all that culminates, and then one day like everything falls apart in your life, right? Because you never like face these problems. And so I think like COVID for me, or at least like quarantine, was like it kind of forced me to face all these problems. And I've changed more in the past like 9 months than I have in like the 20 years like leading up to this. Or I guess like the 19 years leading up to then. um, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if you feel like have felt the same way, because we kind of reconnected like around that time of quarantine, maybe in like April or May, something like that. Um, but like, did you change a lot within this time period, or have you kind of always still like been how you are now?
no, no, dude, I changed so much this year.
Okay.
2020, well, last year, 2020 was crazy,
Mhm.
dude. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely crazy in my life. I have never seen such a fast just acceleration and like overall lifestyle changes. I mean, it's crazy, dude. Like with my health, with my workouts, with my businesses, with school, with just like testing myself to see like how much I can handle. It's been insane.
Mhm.
And so many people can't say that. Like so many people literally did nothing besides sit home. They're probably still at home. Um,
Yeah.
and like, dude, it was crazy because I had COVID like 10 days ago. I got it. And, you know, I was writing about in my journal, I was like, almost a year ago today, I heard about this virus and was super worried about it at first. Spent all this time like worrying about it. And so many people changed like their lifestyle completely. And then to finally get it and to realize that like, dude, I've been way more sick than this, and not everyone's as fortunate as I was, but I spent all that time worrying about something, and once I finally get it, it's nothing. It's like
Yeah.
it's crazy because it was just waste of time, waste of energy worrying about this stuff.
Mhm.
And a lot of that comes, I think, from like paying attention to stuff like on the news and the media and like kind of what the way that they like portray it. Um, and then like you get caught up in focusing on that and it destroys your lifestyle, man. So like, yes, just 2020 year was amazing for me because like I started eating healthier. My diet got really good. I was
Good.
able to like do things that I didn't want to do before. I was really able to like test myself and see how much stuff that I could get done in a day. And like whenever you're worried about like your life and like whether you're worried about getting a virus that could kill you, or just like life events that's shortening your life. Once you start thinking about like this life is finite and I only have so much time here on this planet, then you really start to like increase your productivity. And I was really able to see that in this year. I mean, what about you?
I mean, I think, yeah, exactly the same thing, but like it's not like that shit was easy though, It's like that like each like time you became like a new person, like you had to lose something else or you lost in some aspect, right? Like for me over those couple months is like I lost WGI, so I like lost world class drumming, right? Because that all ended. Um so like no more going to no more going to Tennessee to like drum every weekend. Um like that all just got shattered in March. So it's like, okay, I lost that. So it's like, okay, what's next? You know, that's what I've got to pivot to. So I lose that, I move on, and I become a better person. Lost the relationship that I thought was like the end of the world, you know what I mean? And then now it's like I'm such a different person and like honestly way better because of it. Whereas if I like stayed in that relationship, you know, I never would have experienced that pain and like known how to get over that. And it's like, luckily, I was able to deal with it in quarantine and COVID, where you know nobody else like sees you all day. So,
Yeah.
but it's like that kind of stuff. Like you got to take, you know, the initiative to like fail at these things. Like same with gym, like building size and um, you know, a lot of people made excuses for like not going to the gym, but we took a bunch of equipment from Nathan's dad's warehouse that he had, and we threw it in Jake's room. And then every day we had a workout with all three of us in the apartment last year, you know, and it kept us like going until gyms opened up again. And it's like, do I want to do any of that shit? No. Like I didn't want to, you know, lose a relationship, lose drumming, have to work out indoors. But it's like that was what I thought was going to get me to like where I need to be, and ultimately it is. And I'm sure you experienced the exact same thing of like it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine getting
No.
there, you know. Yeah.
The blessings can be disguised a lot of the times. Like you don't realize
Yeah.
that this thing that sucks right now is actually creating a better me, and it's hard to see the bigger picture sometimes.
Sure, especially at our age. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's tough. Like so many things that I've been forced to do over my life that seem like the worst thing, COVID and one of the things, and then it ends up being a blessing and it changes your life completely. I think that another thing is just like all like this tax crap that's coming with my business and figuring out like I'm gonna have to actually start legitimizing a lot of like these accounting procedures of the business and whatnot. And that's probably a good thing because if not now,
Yeah.
then when? And
Right. Exactly.
the sooner that you can learn it and you're kind of forced into it at a certain point, the better. You know.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But dude, like at the end of quarantine, at the end of my COVID stretch, like it was getting towards it was well at first it sucked because I couldn't do anything. And then I was able to identify the things and I was able to kind of focus just on like a few things that I could do. So I was like, okay, this isn't that bad because I can focus on a few things that I'd been neglecting and I can really accelerate like the schoolwork and my studying, and like a few things with the detailing business at this time because I don't have anything else to do. And then towards the latter end of the quarantine, and it got shitty again because then I was like, dude, I've got to like I feel like I just need to do something. I'm losing perspective. That was a big thing. Like
Yep.
I was losing the perspective of the rest of the world because whenever you're just in your room and you all you have is you and like what's on Netflix and YouTube,
Yeah.
you lose perspective, dude.
Yeah.
And that's even goes as far as like being in a big city versus a small city. Like whenever you're just around Springfield your whole life, you don't really realize all the potential that's out there. And if you don't see like these cars that are worth $3 million or these homes that are worth $50 million or these businesses that have made trillions of dollars, if you don't even know that exist, how can you set your goals accurately? So
Dude,
like
yeah, and that's why like just a like brief example is like that's why like as much as like drumming is not really a part of my life anymore. Like I still teach, but like for me, playing wise, like performance is like not a part of my life anymore. But it's like I will never say that I regret going to Tennessee, North Carolina, Florida, and then like also touring around the entire East Coast in 2018 summer. Like because of drumming, like because I saw like all of those, you know, environments. And so I got like good experience there. And it's like you just got to take every opportunity as a learning experience, really, and just take it all in, you know. But that's just like to your point, yeah. So keep
yeah,
going.
no, it just expands your perspective. Exactly that.
Mhm,
Like without having done those things, there's so many things that you wouldn't have realized were out in the world, and
mhm.
just the being able to see not only like these new places that comes up, but seeing new people, which expands your mind and you learn so much from meeting new people. And if you're just around the same people all your life, you're just not going to learn.
Yeah,
Which if you're around the same area your whole life, you're not going to learn. So like really being in like my room, then it started to really get to me because I'm not like expanding my perspective at all. And I also don't have like as much motivation to do anything. Like I noticed whenever I am going to school, going to work, coming to work on the detailing business, studying, I'm like jumping around. I'm always doing something. I come home, dude, I'm exhausted. Like I can put my head down the pillow and I'm asleep in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes from the fact that I'm just so busy and I'm constantly using my energy to find something next to do. And I'm doing that because of like my perspective. And like I realize how many people never get what they want in life. And like I don't want that to be me. And at the same time, I realize how many things I want in life and how much little time I have. And how if I don't start doing something today to get to that point, then I'm not going to get there. Like it's gotta be today. If not today, it never will be. And I
Yeah.
lost that perspective a lot over like just quarantine, staying at home. Like, dude, it honestly, it freaks me out because so many people, and I was at that point so much of my life where you're just stuck and you have really no clue. You have no perspective on like the big picture. And then like what's so scary is like 10 years could go by, 15, 20, 30 years can go by, and you'll wake up one day mentally in your head and you'll be like, holy shit, dude, like I've wasted so much time. And like, what do I really want? What do I really want to do? Do I really want to work at this job where I'm not actually growing anywhere? Do I really want to just make the same salary that I'm making every single year, living paycheck to paycheck, maybe saving a few $100 a month? Do
Yeah.
I
Until
really,
retirement.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do I really want this relationship? Like, do I really want this lifestyle till I die? Like, what am I
Right.
really thinking about here? And like, dude, if I think about that, it's scary, man. And when you start doing that, then you really increase your productivity. But it's so hard to think like that whenever you're in this like small perspective. Whenever you're talking to people that are living the same way, whenever you surround yourself with people living the same way, whenever you just like come home and you're going to watch a movie or you watch your show at night, you're going to come home to your little furry pet and it's going to comfort you. And it's just like, dude, you're just like, I mean, like, I don't mean to bash a dog or anything like that, but I'm more just like saying this lifestyle that you're living is just comfortable, man. And like, you're just stuck. So many people are just stuck without thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And if that's truly what you want, then that's great. But I think the thing is so many people don't ever think about it. They don't ever think big picture. They don't ever think like, what could I do? What's my potential? Um, and if they never think about that, then they're never gonna reach it. And then one day they wake up and they're like, man, maybe I should have been something more. And that's
Yeah.
fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Right. You always say that that's hell.
That's hell, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
literally
think,
what I think is hell.
yeah, I think that busy lifestyle is, it forces you to like prioritize too, because like, are you like this too, where it's like, if you have like nothing else to do and you have like a week to do an assignment, you're like, I got tomorrow, probably won't do it. But if it's like, oh, I've got all this other shit that I need to get done, so I need to do this tonight, then it's like, okay, I'll do it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah. Yeah, that's so weird. Like over breaks, you just seem to not be very productive.
Yeah.
But whenever you pack all this stuff in your schedule and you actually have less time, then you end up being more productive.
That's why goals are so important, because it's like, I need to be here by this date. And then it's like, okay, let's get there. And then you just kind of roadmap out how you're going to get there, like at that time, you know?
Yeah. And there's a balance to it because you don't want to have so many things. It goes back to the rabbits. If you're trying to
Yeah.
chase, I use that analogy a lot. I love that analogy because Ty Lopez said it and it's stuck with me ever since. Like, just the man who tries to catch two rabbits catches none. It's like, well, and you always say like, well, it depends on like how you're transitioning. You're like, I'm always the guy he focuses on one goal and then moves right into the next. So I can kind
Mhm.
of multitask in that sense. But if you have too many things that you're focusing on, I think that it's hard to be great at one thing. But at the
Yeah.
same time, if you have nothing or if you only have like one thing you're focusing on, you're going to be like lazier, in my opinion, on that one thing. But I think it depends on the person, you know?
I mean that more in a like micromanagement sense, not really like macro, like your whole schedule. As far as like, I can't be like trying to source products for drop shipping and then also doing, also like listening to like my, kinesiology textbook. Like I can't multitask like that. You know what I mean? Like on a micro level, it's like I do one thing and then I move to the other. But overall, it's like, yeah, you have to have multiple things going on, or else you'll just get like lazy and bored. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. And we talk about this. Like we're at school. and this is again, this is perspective. We're at school,
Yeah.
we're in class, and we're like, this is dumb. Like, I'm not learning anything that's actually helping me outside of this hour, you know? And then that puts you in a great mood to want to work on that stuff. Then it puts you, you start thinking about like drop shipping and you're like, what am I going to do today? Or like, I got sneakers this weekend. Like, it's going to be awesome. And you're thinking about this stuff in class, like when you're doing
Yeah.
something that kind of
Yeah.
sucks, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like that is underestimated because like ultimately I don't want to be here in class, but because I am here in class and I spent this hour here, I feel like I'm almost more productive because I realize I want to do something to get me out of this position.
Yeah.
um
Exactly.
like I this is a means to an end, so it puts you in the
Yeah. Yeah, there's that, and then that also I have that exact same perspective around, like, people I hang out with too, because it's like yeah, that's why, like, I hardly regret a lot of situations that I put myself in because it's like, "Okay, at least I know what not to do," you know? It's like, I at least know I don't wanna turn into that or be like these people or, like, X, Y, and Z. So I apply that to really any situation, you know?
Yeah, that's I feel like that's a Dr. Peterson thing that he was
Mhm.
saying. I'm sure lots of people have said this, but him in particular, I remember him saying something along the lines, if you don't know what you want to do, just figure out what you don't want to do or what you don't want to become and use that like process of elimination to figure out kind of where you should be headed.
Yeah, and then, like, to get yourself, like, started on that, it's like, think about like, 1, think about what you don't wanna do, but also think about all the things you know you need to do, and then think about where you'll be in 3 to 5 years if you don't do those things, and, like, that hell should scare you away enough to at least start doing something, you know?
Yep. Yeah, that's a tough thing too, because what was the podcast episode with Tim Ferriss when the guy was talking about the light versus the dark motivation? Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember.
So he was talking about that was what you just explained was not really the dark motivation,
Mm,
but it wasn't the light either. It's somewhere like in the middle. But
okay,
essentially, the dark motivation is I want to become successful to prove these people wrong. Or I want to, you're only thinking about it like it's kind of like a selfish in a
sure,
way of
I
thinking about
understand.
like success. Um, versus like the light is more of like I wish I knew the guest name because I could refer people to it and I could go back and watch it. I'm sure if I searched through the episodes, I could find it. But essentially, like the light motivation is like doing things because of the way that it's actually truly benefiting like your life, and like making you feel fulfilled. Um, it's
Yeah,
definitely like more around like fulfillment, like the light motivation. And he's tried as he's gotten older to focus more like on those kind of motivating factors, the fulfillment, the helping the world, not trying to prove everyone else wrong and doing it for myself type thing. But
sure,
those motivating factors, those dark motivating factors of doing it to prove everyone else wrong are the reason why so many people are successful and why so many people get out of a
mm,
rut. So like those are important,
yeah.
but at a certain point in your life, it's might be good to like kind of transition out of those.
The dark ones are probably better, like, short term to give you kind of that, like, motivation short term, I guess, and then the other ones are a little more fulfilling long term, probably, the light ones.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. Um, I wanted to talk about a little bit about the content side of things, and we could talk a little bit more about this off the recording.
Sure.
Um, but so I know that like we're wanting to do like more content stuff around like student hustles and like sharing some of the success that like Brian, you and I have seen from the businesses that we've been in and just like the overall things that have made us uh, successful in our small little businesses. And it's nothing crazy. Like I would recommend going and watch Andy Frisella versus like Grant Cardone over myself. Like they've done way bigger things, but I think one of the things that we can help other people with is by focusing on the step by step, the little things that are important. Because a lot of the times you listen to these big guys who've done way more and they talk about broad things. And it's not as like specific, like step one is to do this, or like a good strategy to use in this particular niched business is this. And I think that's something that we can provide people because we're at that stage, we're not at
Yeah.
the top of a 500-person company really just overseeing like the mission and like the why, which is important. But it's also important to focus on the people who are trying to start and don't. maybe they're just starting out selling sneakers, and they don't necessarily have like a real uh, direction on where they want to be, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something I feel like that we can help out like through content, is providing like those like little strategies that people can use in their own lives to actually see direct results today.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about that after we get off today. But I think I kind of use the like those people who have done like the like top extent of what I want to do as like the potential of like, okay, that's, I don't know if that's the goal or if that's just um, it just gives me a frame of reference of like, okay, I know what's possible. I know I can at least do that, of like the people who run these, proxy companies or who people who own bots or people who just like do really, really well full-time sneaker botting. Like, I know, okay, that's at least the, potential of what could happen. And then but so many people that are at like our level are like they don't even know like where to begin. Like if they were given like, you know, 75K in capital and like 8 bots, it's like, what do you even do with that? It's so hard to manage. And so you got to kind of come down a little bit to people who are still quote grassroots and building up small business technically. And give a frame of reference down here of like how it is like in the thick of it, and I get a lot of the people that I talk to who I like kind of help teach with some of this sneaker stuff and drop shipping stuff. They're always surprised. They're like, wow, I didn't realize like, you know, like this is what goes into it kind of thing. I thought it was easy as, that was easy as pie. And it's like, no, dude, like there's so much more that you just don't see because all you look at is the like idealized representation of the best at the top, and because that's just how our social media culture is like sculpted, right? Like that's all we see. And so I think that's what we provide or what we're going to be able to provide is a frame of reference at a lower scope. If that makes sense.
Exactly, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the starting out stages of any kind of small business,
Yeah.
from the people who are actually doing it. And that's like that's really important, I think, for anyone that's starting. And that's something that's like I think needed in the marketplace, is someone to kind of take things down a level. And yeah, we're not ultra successful. We haven't made millions of dollars yet, but you got to start at a certain place. And what I can tell you is what's worked for me. I can tell you like the strategies that I've used to make $4,000 to $6,000 in a month through detailing cars or selling sneakers or whatever it might be. I can tell you those strategies that you can take and you can implement into your life to see results similar if you put in the work and use like similar strategies. And I think that's something that's not there really in the marketplace right now. I don't think that there's a whole lot of people like talking about that. Um,
At least not in a genuine sense. There's a lot of like the self-help and go be an entrepreneur, go buy t-shirts from China and put a shitty graphic on them and sell them for $5 more than you made them for. It's like that's not a plan, man. That's not strategies that can be put in place to consistently scale a business. um, yeah.
yeah, and then they also charge for a lot of stuff too. Like, and that's something that
Hmm. Yeah.
I was telling you, like when I was thinking about all these content ideas that we have to help other people that are looking to start something or grow their current business, or their hustle in school or as a young entrepreneur. Um, I think that honestly,
You were thinking about how to monetize a lot of these things, but
yeah,
you realize like, dude, that's not even what you should be even focused on right now.
yeah, it's like super like short term. It's short term thinking.
Yeah.
It's like how do I make money off of like these ideas and stuff? And like while I could probably sell these things and make maybe a few $1,000s, maybe a few tens of thousands of dollars, it's something that I feel like I'm providing more value in the long run by just giving these things away for free rather than like trying to capitalize on it. Um,
Mhm.
like it's just like the entrepreneur in me to try to figure out how to make money on every single
Sure. Yeah.
thing, but at a certain level. And with certain things, you do things for like charity in a way, like you're doing volunteering in a way, and you don't expect to be paid. And that's something like with this business, like with Student Hustles, it's more than anything, it's just like a way to give back and not worried about anything related to like the money um, anywhere in like the future. Long term, of course, there's like ideas that come into play, like anything would be. But before you ever get to like those long term monetizations with any business, it's so important to provide value and
Yeah.
to build up like your, the people that trust you and that can learn from you. So some of these content strategies that we have, I think that there might be a few people like with any business that are going to become overwhelmed because I think we're going to be giving out like a lot of specifics around each of our things. And if you're only in sneakers and you're following Student Hustles, you might see a lot of other things related to other businesses. I think you can still learn from the other things that we're going to be putting out there. Um, but there might be a certain person out there who follows us and then they may decide that it's just becoming too overwhelmed. And that's fine. But I think that our goal is to really just provide a an understanding of like all these small businesses that we're currently in, and the
Yeah.
people that are following us can just pick and choose like whether or not you're in detailing or sneakers or investing. You can just kind of pick what pieces of content to like listen to, and if you want to listen to all of them, I think that there's some kind of value that could be provided from that, but not every piece of content is for every single person that follows the channel.
Or it can at least be like a tree with a bunch of like, limbs that you can, find one and then kind of follow that back to an expert of that, topic and then learn from them or learn from people around them. And, it's like that's how I found like sneaker Twitter, for example, is like you follow some like big accounts that tweet some stuff about releases and then eventually you find the like owners of groups and then you find, bot devs and then you follow all these people and then now you're in sneaker Twitter. And it's like now that's like all like, you know, now that's like my world of like social media. And so we want to be able to provide that first limb, for people to like find that, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I had a guy that I work with that, for all those people out there listening, I had a guy that I work with who I hadn't told him about the podcast, but he had found out about it and he had watched a few episodes and he gave me a call and said, hey, why didn't you tell me you were trying to be the next Joe Rogan? And I was like, well, I'll never be on Joe Rogan's level, but I was like, it's something that I've had in mind. I just really hadn't thought to bring it up yet to you. Just haven't really had the time or uh, didn't necessarily think that you would enjoy it. But, he did enjoy it. And he's like, man, after listening to like a few of your episodes, it really has gotten me to want to start some kind of like side job. And I have goals and I really think that it's important to capitalize on those goals and to take advantage of my young age and my hustle still. And I think that I'm going to try to start some kind of like, whether it's starting some kind of business or just getting a side job on the weekends to kind of grow my income. And I was like, dude, that's awesome, man. Like it was a really motivating for me and for you too, Brian, just because it goes to show that while we may not be talking, that wasn't a particular person that was an entrepreneur, like they're still able to apply the principles that we talked about on this episode to their lives and kind of see a way that they can implement these things. And that's really what I want to do with this channel and for people out there is to provide them with some kind of motivating factor or strategy or tactic to use on their life to better their income, to better their happiness or their health or whatever it is in their life that they're looking to get better at.
Sure. And I mean, the stuff that we do here is like just as much for us as it is for other people. I had somebody ask me the other day, like, how many listeners do you guys get? And I was like, I honestly have no idea. And they're like, well, can't you like check that on Spotify? I was like, yeah, Josh probably can, but like I've never asked. And I was like, honestly, don't really care. It's like we want to provide as much value to as many people as possible, mainly via like social media outlets and stuff like that. But it's like just as much as we want to help other people, like this is intrinsically motivated as much as it could be, honestly. Like I love doing these every weekend and um like I've learned more from talking to other people and having conversations with you than I've learned from a lot of people like in my life, up to this point. Um, so I don't really
Yeah.
worry about that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not either, dude. I can look at it and I have once before. like a month ago or so. But who cares, dude? Like I'm just like, I'm not really worried about it. I want to be able to look back at that like as a reference every now and then,
Sure.
just to see like progression over time. But ultimately, like you're just sticking to the principles that are true, and you just want to provide value. And if you're doing that, who cares if 5 or 10 or 100 or 5,000 people are watching? Really, like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I just want to provide value, and I want to do what's also going to be benefiting my own life. And that's what exactly like that's we're not doing this just to build an audience. We're doing this to like provide value in our own lives and to grow and to help the people we're talking to, the guest on our podcast, possibly expand like their business or their mindset. Um, and then with that, we feel like we're providing some kind of value to other people. And we hope that someone listening might be able to or improve their lives in a similar way. And whether it's just through getting a side job or whether it's deciding to start losing some weight and going to the gym, all those ways are ways that you might be able to see a bit benefit in a way to change your life through listening to some of the episodes that we put out.
Sure. Yeah. Are we coming up on time here
Yep, I'm sure we
for
are.
recording?
So, I had one thing written down
Sure.
um, that I wanted to talk about. It doesn't actually tell me. It's kind of weird on this Zoom. It doesn't tell me. I think I could pull up like a timestamp. It doesn't tell me how long I've been recording for. Um,
Mm.
but I got a phone call from one of my detailing customers, and there's someone that saw an ad of mine that we have out there right now on Google, and they called and they had a very weird tone of voice. They're very quiet. Um, it was off. It's so interesting how I can tell like immediately whenever something's going to be like wrong or different about a customer. Um, it's like there's like red flags that a lot of the times I can tell from these people.
Mhm.
Um, and he didn't tell me. He's like, "Oh, the vehicle's not that bad," and usually that's a sign that a lot of the times it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my brother went out to detail this guy's car, and my brother was like, "It was just so trashed, man." He was like, "It's the worst car that I've seen in a long time," and I just was telling him how it's interesting how I can pick up on that kind of stuff just from from the phone call, and like you can tell based on some how one person acts or talks, you can tell how their whole lifestyle is going to be. You can
Yeah.
tell usually like what their car is going to look like. I can tell you if their bed's made. I can tell you if their home's clean, if their yard looks good. It's just weird. Like
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
an overall blanket statement that's true, but it seems to be somewhat correlated to that stuff.
Mm.
Um, if someone can't make their own bed, most likely their bathroom and their car and their entire life is probably a little dirty.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Like listening to Dr. Peterson talk about his rules for life. One of the biggest
Mhm.
rules he's got, and I think one of the most important, is put your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. And I think so many people
Yeah, dude.
fail that rule, and I think that rule is one of the most important because if you look at you start out in like yourself, like are you healthy? Is your mentally are you all there? Are you as strong as you can be? What does your room look like? What does your house look like? Is it clean? Is it dirty? Um, is your yard clean or is there like trash everywhere? And before I think you like go looking outward and pointing fingers, I think it's important to get that figured out first.
Yeah. And then what's crazy about that though is that like getting your house in order, that could take your entire life, you know? So it's like, why are
Yeah.
people so busy, worrying about what others got going on or try to fix their shit when it's like, you know, that's the whole reason that like monks go away to, you know, like they renounce everything for their entire, because it's like it takes the entire lifetime to get there, because there's always that temptation, there's always that, bitch voice in the back of your head, especially, the society we live in here. And it's like if you get away, you can accelerate that process so much faster because there's so much less things to worry about, right? But in our society where we're at right now, that's always nagging, always nagging. So you got to work hard to, take care of your own shit first.
Yeah, man. I've spent so much time right now focusing on my own self. I don't really have time to criticize other
Hmm.
people, and I don't feel like I should. And it's one of the like
Yeah.
factors like in a relationship too. Like it makes me feel like I don't know how I can get into a relationship with someone else until like I figured out my own self. And I don't know when that'll
Right.
be, but I sure as hell haven't figured out myself yet. So
Hmm.
I can't imagine like having to put that burden on another person like in a relationship, just at this
Yeah.
stage because it's like I haven't even figured out my own self, man. You know, I got to figure out that first.
Yeah, especially that like identity thing, because it's like, when you're like younger and you're in a relationship, you let a lot of stuff go because younger, I'm talking like 17, 18, maybe 16 too. It's like, you're so young. It's like you let a lot of things go where it's like, maybe you don't agree with a couple of things that your significant other does, or you lie to yourself and go against a couple of things you believe in too, just kind of like go along with some stuff because it's like it's comfortable, dude. Like you don't know anything different. Um, and then you grow up a little bit and you go through breakups and you figure out you focus on yourself for a couple years and you realize your actual identity, and then you're so much more of a baller, dude. You can handle your own shit. So many people can't even handle their own shit, as far as like money problems, which it seems like the entire fucking world is suffering from, which I just don't understand. It's like handle your own thing first.
Yeah, dude, exactly. How the hell are you going to tell the government what they should and shouldn't be doing whenever like you look at your own life and you don't have a penny left to your name after you get paid, like everything just goes out the window, spent
Yeah.
on stupid shit. It makes no sense. I was telling a few buddies at work, we were talking about the national debt, and this is something that not a lot of people know, but I was telling them that the national debt is made up of American debt. It's made up of you and me and every single person in this country's debt. That's what that calculator, that thing that keeps going up, that's what that's made out of. It's made out of student loans and home loans and all stuff that is the American people's debt. So before you can look at that and say, that's too high, like that's so ridiculous, look at your own life, dude. Like you've got a home loan that's probably something stupid. You got probably three cars in your family that all have got $25,000 in loans on.
Yeah.
You got credit card debt. Like, dude, that is what that number is. And yeah, it's a small piece of it, but when you multiply that by 300 million Americans, that's why it's so big. And it goes back to get your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. And if every single person were to figure out their financial situation, that number wouldn't look so bad. But not a lot of people realize that I'm contributing to that number.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, let's probably wrap it up today. So this is going to be the future. I mean, we'll probably do just audio only here um, at some point. Like, it's probably not necessarily going to be strictly video, but we are going to try to get out these episodes on YouTube and have like the actual face cam with our guest and whatnot. So, for anyone that's listening that's got any ideas or thoughts, um, questions, or anything related to the podcast and related to future episodes and whatnot, feel free to send me an email, studenthustles@yahoo.com. But I think that's going to wrap it up today. You got anything else to say, Brian?
No, I'm good.